Is there a chance the Lions could add at a position of need?
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, let's do this, everybody. Locked On Lions for a Monday edition. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Derry with you on today, a Monday, July 28th into Tuesday, July 29th. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Thank you to all of our everyday listeners that are out there. So we like to call them the everydayers that either watch the Locked On Lions podcast on our YouTube channel or check us out, whether it's Apple, Spotify. We appreciate all of you immensely. Folks, we've got ourselves a preseason game this Thursday. Yes, the Lions are going to be playing. Now, here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be guilty of. All week, I'm going to tell you how excited I am for the preseason game. And then if you follow us on Twitter or on Blue Sky or wherever, you're going to see me post things maybe 15 minutes into the game like, oh my God, this is torture. I forgot how much I hated preseason. I'm going to be guilty of all of that. But yes, the Lions and Chargers will be playing in the Hall of Fame game Thursday night at 8 o'clock on NBC. Yes, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth. Tirico was down at training camp today, along with his former colleague, John Gruden. It was a star-studded affair at training camp today. So star-studded, Brad Galley was there. John McAroon. Doesn't get any bigger than those two guys. Jeremy Otto. Locked On Lions today, brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Again, follow us on all social media platforms. Hit us up for call of the day. We'll do a call of the day tomorrow. If you want to be our call of the day and leave us a voicemail, you can do so at www.speakpipe.com/Derry. My last name, Derry, podcast page. Coming up on the show today, I'll address the Christian Wilkins situation. I'll address it once, and I'll do that today. Tons of training camp updates. The guys have been in pads now the last 3 days. I've got two studs and 2 duds early in camp. Look, it's 1 week in. We're not even to August yet. But I'm going to tell you from some people that I've talked to who've been, they've said these guys have been studs, and then a couple of duds, guys that are off to slow starts. We'll dive into that as well. Graham Glasgow at center. Is that going to be happening? John Morton spoke today. Lions offensive coordinator. Again, his buddy John Gruden, who taught him a lot of what he knows, was at training camp today. All right, Monday edition of Locked On Lions. Again, Sam Monson going to join us from the 33rd team on Wednesday. If you remember, Sam used to be at Pro Football Focus. We love Sam. He and Steve Palazzolo do a great podcast together. They left PFF to go to 33rd team. Sam is going to join us on Wednesday of this week. Thursday, we'll do a post-game show. Well, it's not. There'll be the postcast on Locked On Sports Detroit with Jake, but I will have a post-Thursday podcast. Our show will be out about midnight Thursday night. Okay, let's go with this. The big stunning news at the end of last week. Christian Wilkins released by the Las Vegas Raiders. And you go, wait a minute. Didn't the Raiders just give him a massive contract in the 2024 offseason? Yes, they did. Christian Wilkins, one of the best defensive tackles in football. When he was with the Dolphins, he was a game wrecker. Raiders go out and give him nearly $27.5 million a year. 4 years, $110 million, and make him one of the highest paid players, non-quarterbacks in the league. Last season, he was bothered by a foot injury. He had surgery and had been sitting out for the start of like mini camps and OTAs and all of these things as he was continuing to rehab. Then at the end of last week, the Raiders just released him. They voided the remaining $35.2 million of guaranteed money left in his contract. They released him with the designation of terminated vested veteran, and Wilkins immediately went to the NFL Players Association to file a grievance on his behalf on Thursday. basically the Raiders did not like, the early reports were that the Raiders were not agreeing with how he was rehabbing his foot injury from last October. He's coming back from a Jones fracture. There was disagreements and arguments about, the surgery rehab and all of these things. He underwent surgery last year, 5 games into the 2024 season. And the Raiders just let him go and let him walk. All right. Now today, according to Adam Schefter of ESPN, one of the big reasons why the Raiders let him go, and I think this is absolutely preposterous, but I'm going to read it. According to Schefter, the Raiders released Wilkins after he reportedly kissed a fellow player on the head, and the teammate took offense to it. Schefter says the incident was not the sole reason why Wilkins was cut, but that playful gesture, the teammate didn't see it that way. It is not known what the fellow player did following the incident. It is not known who the fellow player is. There was a complaint filed at the Raiders HR department, and the Raiders basically said the hell with Christian Wilkins. And at age 29, one of the better defensive tackles in the league, is now a free agent. Again, the NFL Players Association is investigating, is reading Wilkins' complaint about why they're cutting him, not paying him his money, his guaranteed money, all of these things. Now the story comes out today. Well, when everybody saw this at first, what did we all think as Lions fans? Wait a minute. If Christian Wilkins gets healthy, you put him on the interior of that defensive line, where are we concerned right now about the Lions? Defensive tackle. Lee McNeil, gone till likely November 1st. Levi Onwuzurike, lost for the season. Tyleik Williams, 28th overall pick, but a rookie. Patrick O'Connor, Broderick Martin, who can never stay healthy. Josh Paschal, who's out until September. All right. Mekhi Wingo, out until September. Wouldn't Christian Wilkins look incredible in a Lions uniform? He's exactly what they need, and they could pick him up for nothing. But here comes the but. What do the Lions and Brad Holmes and Sheila Ford Hamp and Dan Campbell, what do they mostly stay away from? They stay away from drama. If there's drama with a player, if there are warts with a player, if there's issues with a player off the field, for the most part, all right, tough to keep tabs on 90 guys or 91 guys right now. But for the most part, the Lions don't touch, warded players. They just don't. They don't go near anything that might be on fire. And Christian Wilkins, first you got that he's not rehabbing his foot injury properly. Now he reportedly kissed a teammate on the forehead and the teammate didn't like it. I don't know what that's all about. All right. So if he alienated the locker room, there's a lot of drama surrounding Christian Wilkins right now. Is he the perfect kind of player the Lions could use? Yes, but I don't think the Lions are going to touch that. And we're sitting here 3 or 4 days later since the release, and nobody's picked him up. Something's going on around the league with Wilkins. I don't know if he's being blackballed. I don't know what's happening. Certainly the Players Association is listening to the grievance right now that was filed by Wilkins. He's probably going, wait, you just released me? The foot injury's not getting any better for coming back from the Jones fracture. There's a lot there. So I think right now the Lions are going to stay out of it completely. But man, when we talk about the football player, he's damn good. He is damn good. And again, he only played in a handful of games last year. Maybe this Jones fracture in his foot is a massive issue and it's not getting any better. And they didn't like how he was rehabbing. Look, most guys you never hear about because they rehab and work hard. Look at how hard Aiden Hutchinson worked. So I don't know what to tell you, but I don't think the Lions anytime soon are going to rush to sign Christian Wilkins. But I'm telling you, if he's healthy, he's still a beast. I don't know what kind of shape he's in. I don't know what's going on with him kissing teammates' foreheads. To me, there's playful stuff that goes on between teammates all of the time. But this is a weird story for sure. But I love the player as far as the talent. But right now, there's too much drama that I think the Lions are going to stay away from that. All right, coming up next, training camp updates, some injury concerns, Graham Glasgow, Johnny Morton, studs and duds. We got plenty to do here on a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. But first, Locked On Lions for a Monday, brought to you by our friends at Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, me, Locked On Lions, we're playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran, making your 1 millionth league, right? Everybody's in so many leagues now. Our league's been running through Yahoo for a while now, the league that I'm in. Easy setup, great mobile app. We've been on Yahoo forever. And the smack talk just hits different in the message boards. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, more ways to win. It all begins August 4th. Stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. Our Monday edition, everybody, of a Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Appreciate everybody being with us a daily here. We are now back to 5 shows a week. Again, Thursday night. Lions are a 1-point favorite. That's right, all you gambling degenerates out there, all of our great FanDuel friends. Lions are a 1-point favorite for the Hall of Fame game Thursday night against Jim Harbaugh and the LA Chargers. All right, let's start with some training camp updates. A little bit of a concern right now about Kirby Joseph. He has not practiced the last 2 days. The media was trying to grab him today after practice today, coming off the field, and he declined to be interviewed. Dan Campbell hopefully will have an update tomorrow on Kirby Joseph's injury status, but he has not practiced the last couple of days. The one thing that we have seen over the last 2 or 3 days now is Graham Glasgow back at center. And there's a lot of differing opinions on what the Lions are going to do at center and what the Lions are going to do at right guard. So far, I would say it's been 50-50 in camp with Tate Ratledge at center, Glasgow at right guard, Glasgow at center, and the rookie Ratledge at right guard. Today, John Morton, the Lions offensive coordinator, was asked about it, and he's like, oh, Graham looks great at center. Then it was, well, whose decision is it on where Glasgow plays? And Morton said, that's Dan Campbell's call. You'll have to ask the head coach about that. I've said it over the last few weeks that I still believe that this organization wants to break in the second round pick out of Georgia, Ratledge, as the starting center. But now, over the last few days, maybe, just maybe, especially in padded practices, the Lions are having a change of heart because we have seen Graham Glasgow at center now over the last handful of days. And as Nate Burleson told us last Monday on the show, you've got to have a relationship between the quarterback and the center in order for things to really, really gel and work. And that's something that Frank Ragnow and Jared Goff had over the last four years. Those guys had great chemistry. Ragnow's now gone. Ratledge is learning the position for the first time, really. But Glasgow, Graham has made it a point, and he's told the media this. He was not comfortable last year at left guard. And to be quite honest, it showed. Second half of the season, his PFF grade was very low. He was playing with some nagging injuries. He had a horrible game in the playoff game against the Commanders. But he said, look, I'm glad to be back at right guard, but he also wanted to squash the notion he was not comfortable at center. He said today he is. So we've seen more of Glasgow at center over the last few days. Again, what that means for the future, I don't know. Glasgow's basically on a year-to-year basis with this team. All right. He's 32 years old. He's got plenty of tread on the tires, but I think this team does want to take a good long look at Tate Ratledge at center. And I think you're going to see Tate Ratledge at center Thursday night against the Chargers. They've got to see what they have here. They've got an extra couple of weeks here. They're playing 4 preseason games. I'm one that is not in favor of playing your starters in the preseason, but a guy like Tyleik Williams, a first-round pick, a guy like Tate Ratledge, a second-round pick, they've got to play. You've got to see what you have in those guys and give them those NFL reps. So that's a little bit of an update today. I mentioned before about some of the folks that were there today, including John Gruden and Mike Tirico in attendance. The team has been in pads the last 3 days, and now they'll have a short week here with a game coming up Thursday night in the Hall of Fame game. As far as studs and duds, we are very, very early in this process. All right. The Lions have only been practicing for just over a week as training camp has begun. But I texted a couple of people inside the building and I said, give me some names. Who looks good? There were 2 players that were unanimous for everybody that I talked to. 2 players that said they look good. Number 1 is Jamison Williams. And I know we've heard this a gazillion times. He ran a route today where it looked like he was going to run just a normal go route, fly pattern, whatever you call it, against the veteran cornerback Rock Ya-Sin. As he was going toward the end zone, he stops on a dime right at the goal line and catches a touchdown pass. I heard this route was as good a route as he's ever run. Justin Rogers wrote a great piece about it in the Detroit Football Network today. But Jamison Williams, everybody says, is going to have a monster year and is having a monster camp already. And he and John Morton, for some odd reason, seem to have better chemistry than him and Ben Johnson. John Morton's like, we're expanding the globe here, the route tree for JMO. And everybody I've texted has said, this guy looks amazing. So great news on Jamison Williams. The other guy that's come up as a stud so far in camp is the backup linebacker and special teams ace, Grant Stewart, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts. He's the guy that's got the curly blonde hair coming out of the helmet. They love what they've seen from him so far. Physical, a hitter, a guy that is kind of going to play that Jalen Reeves-Maben role over the last few years, but he's had a really good camp so far. I mean, that was a name that I was not surprised. I was a little bit surprised in seeing via text message from some of my insiders down there at 222 Rodwood Drive. Grant Stewart off to a good start in camp. Same question I asked to these people about who's off to a slow start. So I guess we'll say duds. We said studs with JMO and Stewart. Duds so far. First one, Tyleik Williams. Just sounds like he's behind. It just sounds like he added some weight. Now he's lost some weight and he's kind of in between right now. Really not off to a great start is the first round pick from what I'm being told. Now, again, it's very early. It's his first week as a professional. All right. But Tyleik Williams not showing, I guess, the way that they were hopeful this early. And again, this week you could have a great week and who knows, but that's one name that came up that's like, hasn't been great so far. The other name that came up was Avonte Maddox, who has been starting at safety in place of Kirby Joseph the last couple of days, and he's gotten beaten a few times. Maddox is an older player. He's in his 30s, 33 years old. Detroit guy that is coming over from the Eagles. All right. And is a guy that you'd figure would lock down the number 3 safety spot at the moment behind Joseph and Brian Branch. But there's some young guys, coming up. Maurice Norris is at a good start to camp. Dan Jackson is a guy that they like. But Maddox, at least for right now, off to a slow start from some of the people that I've talked to at Lions that have been at Lions training camp for here just over a week. Ennis Rakestraw is another guy that they're very concerned about in terms of injuries. He's had this chest contusion. He's been out there practicing over the last few days, but you can just tell he is not 100%. And this has been an issue with Rakestraw his whole career, going back to Missouri. Talented guy, ready for a breakout this year. hurts his chest, just a contusion, thank goodness, but not where I think the team was hoping he would be here on July 28th. But we got a long, long way to go before we get anywhere here at training camp. All right, John Morton spoke today. The Lions offensive coordinator, got a few highlights from that we'll tell you about coming up next. And Locked On Lions today brought to you by our friends at Gametime. We've all been there looking for tickets, right? Logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. It's so annoying. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That is where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. All right, tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal? Gametime has zone deals that pick the best seats in your section for you. It's great. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets for concerts and shows with our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so the new offensive coordinator for the Lions, Johnny Mo, as he's known, John Morton, coming over, of course, from his days with the Raiders and USC, the Jets for a year when he was offensive coordinator back in 2017, the Saints. John Morton is now with the Lions, back with the team where he was a couple of years ago when he was an offensive assistant, first year under when Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator. And now he's going to be running the show with Jared Goff and this Lions offense. He spoke to the media today. First thing that was on his mind today that I thought was interesting, at least, he's going to be calling plays from the booth. John Morton is going to be the play caller, and he's going to be upstairs in the booth. If you recall, Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator the last few years, was down on the sideline. He said today, quote, he wants to be away from the chaos of the sideline, and he likes seeing the entire picture from up above. All right. Some offensive coordinators call it from the booth, defensive coordinators too. Others are down on the sideline. I always thought if you're an OC and you see things from up high, that you can really see the whole field better. So John Morton's going to be calling plays from upstairs. By the way, he did not go on vacation between OTAs and training camp. He was basically watching a lot of film and looking to see what the offense did during OTAs and did not take any time off. Second thing that Morton talked about was Jamison Williams. More routes, more activity for J-Mo. Quote from Morton, you see the skill set. He's very explosive. J-Mo's gotten better every year. I want to take that skill set and now isolate him. I think he's been phenomenal. He's going to help us win some big games, end quote. There is something about this John Morton, Jamison Williams pairing that could be something special, certainly with the Lions. Third thing, which is interesting, which many of you, our everyday listeners, have been all over, and that is you've wanted to see David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs on the field at the same time. So far in camp, we've seen it. Could that happen in the regular season as well? Morton said, quote, we can throw it, we can run it, we can do whatever we want. I'm all about making the defense uneasy. Maybe I might automatically get a defensive front coverage blitz. I'm always looking to put our best players on the field at all times. I come from the school of multiple packages of personnel groupings in and out of the huddle and trying to keep the defense uneasy. That's the school I come from. It's going to be a cool thing. I love this. This is something, look, I'm not going to get on here and rip on Ben Johnson. All right. You guys watch the show or listen to the show every day. You know how I feel about the Bears. All right. I think the Bears are a joke. I've always thought they were a joke. I laugh at the Bears. All right. But the Bears got themselves a very good head coach. We can call him Benedict Johnson. We can call him a traitor. He's done some chirping. You know, the Bears are having problems with their offense in the spring and in summer so far, and Caleb Williams. And we can laugh. But Ben Johnson was a damn good offensive coordinator. All right. He was so good. He was the best in the league. You can't take that away from him. We're bitter he's with the Bears. We want him to lose twice to the Lions. We can't wait for week 2 and the Lions hopefully poleaxe the Bears. All of that. All right. But the guy did a darn good job. But one thing I don't think he did enough of, if it's possible to find any kind of flaws with what the Lions were doing offensively, there's not many. Lions are the best offense in football last year. Is Montgomery and Gibbs together might be something that could be fantastic. Think about if they're lining up in the backfield next to Goff. All right. And then Gibbs goes in motion. I think that freaks the defense out. Is Gibbs putting Gibbs in motion with Montgomery in the backfield? Is it a run? Are they going to throw it to Gibbs quickly? Should a linebacker go out there? Should a safety go out there? A lot. You're asking a lot of the defense to have to worry about the thunder side with Montgomery and the lightning side with Gibbs and the quickness. Jahmyr Gibbs being in all sorts of different packages, but Montgomery on the field as well, I think is exciting. And I would love to see more of it. I hate when neither of them are on the field. When Goff's in an empty set on a 3rd and short, it drives me crazy. I would have Gibbs or Montgomery on the field at all times. And I know there's 3rd and 16 and you want to have guys out wide and they're going to take a long look at Isaac Tesla and all that stuff. And Khalif Raymond supposedly going to be getting more touches this year. I don't know how, but Gibbs and Montgomery together, I love the fact that John Morton brought that up. And look, John Morton's got a lot to prove. He's been an OC one time at the NFL level, and it did not work out well in New York years ago. He's getting another opportunity. And those are big shoes to fill, having to do what Ben Johnson did. And Morton said, we got trick plays. Just because Ben Johnson's gone does not mean we're not going to use some trick plays, some razzle-dazzle, whatever it takes in order to win football games. And there are going to be some days where the defense has to carry him, and there's going to be some days when the offense has to carry him. All right, that'll do it for us on this Monday edition of Locked On Lions. We are back again tomorrow. And again, Sam Monson from the 33rd team, excellent NFL writer and podcaster, is going to join us on Wednesday, and we'll do a Thursday show after Lions and Chargers. Talk to you again tomorrow.